okay, ain't much better. Anyway, let's say we take a look at the next game in the Arkham universe lineup, shall we? We're not actually continuing the story of Arkham City this time. Instead, we're going back to the days of when Batman just started his career as the Dark Knight. So that alone should remove all tension the story could have possibly produced, but in the end, is the game still worthy enough to be a holiday gift? The version I'll be reviewing is the Xbox 360 version because I already own Arkham Asylum and Arkham City on this system, and I'm not about to have it sit awkwardly alone in a section with no other Arkham games to complement it.
Batman Arkham Origins was announced just 6 months before its official release in October of this year, which immediately raised a red flag for me considering the likes of Arkham City had over a year of progress before a release date was even considered. Now if you're waiting that long to even announce the game, then that means this game is either a quick cash grab or there wasn't much faith in it to begin with. That's not always guaranteed, but overall I was very cautious about this one. Taking over developmental duties this time around is WB Montreal Studios, the same people that were responsible for Arkham City Armored Edition on the Nintendo Wii U. I wasn't very concerned with Rocksteady Studios not handling this game, seeing that I thought that Armored Edition was just fine as it was, and the trailers and demonstrations for Arkham Origins during this year's E3 did a fine enough job convincing me that this game is more of the Arkham action that I know and love. However, now that I've actually played the game, it's time to get into what I really think of it, so let's start with that plot. Spoilers are abounding here folks, so skip to this point of the video if you don't want the story ruined for you. It's Christmas Eve in Gotham City.
And now you know why this is a Christmas review.
Batman is seen infiltrating Blackgate Penitentiary to stop a massive riot occurring inside, led by Black Mask. The crime boss executes Commissioner Loeb of the Gotham City Police Department and escapes Batman's wrath with the help of Killer Croc. After delivering a vicious beatdown, Batman learns that Black Mask has placed a massive $50 million bounty on Batman's head, with 8 deadly assassins coming to claim the prize money. This includes the likes of Killer Croc, well actually he's already been taken care of, so I guess it's 7 deadly assassins. There's also Deathstroke, an enhanced super soldier that was given a lot of marketing and promotion throughout this game's development cycle, Copperhead, who looks nothing like a Duracell battery, Firefly, who is rocking a jetpack and flamethrower and that's all that needs to be said, Deadshot, who is ass kicked hard in Arkham City, Electrocutioner, who... Ooh. Ow. Holy shit. Okay, moving on, we have Lady Shiva, a deadly ninja assassin that honestly just wants to test Batman to see if he's worthy. Topping it all off is Bane, everyone's favorite luchador wrestler, looking a little less, bulbous since we last saw him in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. On a serious note, I do like this incarnation of Bane compared to the previous one, if only because he's actually pretty cunning this time around, and presents more of a challenge with a slimmer physique. Batman definitely has his work cut out for him. Not only does he have to deal with all these assholes before the night ends, but he also has to make sure he can enjoy Christmas ham with Alfred before it spoils. Events start twisting up, however, when Batman begins to hunt Black Mask down. After tracking down the Penguin, who Batman believes knows of Black Mask's current location, the Dark Knight learns that Roman Sionis, the man behind the Black Mask, has been murdered in his apartment by an unknown assailant. This leads Batman to the Gotham City Police Department to collect necessary evidence, where he clashes with not only crooked cops who want the bounty on Batman, but also with Captain Gordon back in his days before becoming a commissioner. Batman makes his escape and heads into the sewers underneath the GCPD to ensure he has 24/7 access to the police station's database. While running along inside the area, he finds that Black Mask wasn't killed but rather kidnapped by his unknown attacker, the Joker. With the trail that leads to the Gotham Merchants Bank, Batman discovers that it was Joker who was impersonating Black Mask the entire time, and the reason why there's a $50 million bounty on his head to begin with. So there you have it, the Joker was behind the entire plan, taking control of Black Mask's empire to plant explosives all across Gotham City and blowing shit up for the laugh of it all. Joker makes his escape and Batman follows him into the Royal Hotel, conveniently remodeled into a funhouse from hell only after a few days' time. Eventually Batman reaches the Joker, but is intercepted by Bane, who knew Batman was coming for the clown at some point or another. The two duke it out for a bit, with the GCPD soon interfering, causing Bane to make a temporary retreat. Joker, on the other hand, doesn't seem to understand the word escape and fires at Bane's chopper, causing him to retaliate with a rocket launcher. The resulting explosion knocks Joker off of the building, with Batman jumping in to save him. The cops show up to arrest Joker, and Batman leaves the scene to deal with the rest of the assassins, which at this point is only Bane and Firefly. You may have noticed that I didn't really bring up the rest of the assassins throughout this summary, but that's only because most of them have no bearing on the plot whatsoever. Even the likes of Deathstroke, who disappears after you fight him one time very early in the game. Some of them, like Shiva and Deadshot, are completely optional and fought via side quests. You'd think the 8 deadly assassins would be the primary focus here, but once Joker makes his debut, the story becomes yet another Batman vs. Joker storyline, which I will say works, but it's ultimately more disappointing than interesting. This is coming from the perspective of someone who has played the hell out of the first two Arkham games, but when I see sequences of Joker having deep psychological thoughts on why his and Batman's destinies are intertwined, I'm watching stuff I already know. I get it, Batman and Joker are two sides of the same coin. Can we get back to the assassins already? What's that? They don't really mean much in the overall story? Well, shit. I know, it's called Arkham Origins, but did we really need the Joker for this one? Well, thanks to a tracking device that he placed on Bane before he made his escape, Batman is able to locate Bane's hideout, where he makes the horrifying discovery that Bane knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Knowing that Alfred is in danger, Batman heads back to the Batcave, but not before stopping Firefly from blowing up the bridge. Unfortunately, Batman's too late and the Batcave is ransacked by Bane, complete with a dying Alfred. However, seeing that this is a prequel game and that we know Alfred is alive and well thanks to Arkham City, we also know very damn well that he'll pull through with a few electric punches to the chest, where he then encourages Batman to get back out there and stop Bane, as well as the Joker who has managed to turn Blackgate into a living hell. With Captain Gordon watching his back, Batman stops the raging Bane, who also suffers from some convenient memory loss after hulking out, and caps things off by beating the ever-living shit out of the Joker one last time, ending the story of Arkham Origins. Overall, it's an okay story. It's very kinetic and action-packed, I will give it that. I just wish they didn't need to rely on the Joker once again. Sure, the likes of Black Mask or Deathstroke or Bane for that matter are not as popular as the Clown Prince of Crime, but this story just seemed more like a missed opportunity. It looks great, the choreography of the action scenes are a sight to behold, and the voice acting is good stuff too, though to be honest, hearing Roger Craig Smith as Batman kinda makes me think of Chris Redfield in a Batman costume. Though thinking about it a little deeper, that may not be a bad thing in the long run. Troy Baker as the Joker is good stuff too, but I'll be direct. There are times where I think he's trying just a little too hard to imitate Mark Hamill's Joker. I'm sure he'll only get better and better as time passes, but his first attempt is commendable. Okay, first things first, if you're playing this game on the Xbox 360, be sure to download the patches to ensure a more stable game. When I got this game at launch, I had this game freeze on me like nothing else. Since the patch, I haven't encountered any more freezing, so please download the patch updates as soon as you can. Even then, there are still occurrences of cinematic cutscene stuttering at some points, which is a bit distracting, and once in a blue moon, the game will hang on a transitional loading screen like, oh, I hear the PlayStation 3, Wii U, and PC releases don't have as many technical hiccups as the Xbox 360 version, but I should stress, the Xbox 360 version isn't outright broken, it's just a little more unstable, that's all. Yeah. Anyway, Arkham Origins gameplay. You know, out of all the games I reviewed so far for this channel, I never had an easier time when it came to jotting notes down for a review. When you get right down to it, Arkham Origins is just a slightly bigger Arkham City. You have the same locales that Arkham City contained, in addition to a new Gotham area to further add to the game's world. Batman can equip and use almost every gadget he had in the previous game, with a few cosmetic changes here and there, and he can upgrade himself with almost all of the same techniques and tools he had in the last two games. Arkham Origins doesn't completely retread Arkham City, but the new gadgets you can acquire aren't very fascinating in their own ways, and there aren't many of them to begin with. When you defeat Deathstroke, you get the Remote Claw, which for 90% of your adventure will just act as a means to get you to your next location. You can also use it to get the preemptive on unassuming mooks with explosive barrels and things like that, which pleases me in ways the line launcher couldn't achieve, but again, I don't think it's that special overall. Then there's this concussive detonator, which I only think I used a grand total of once during multiple playthroughs. You throw it at a mook and he temporarily goes apeshit. I'll stick with Batarangs, thanks. The biggest addition to Batman's arsenal has to be the shock gloves, which you get only a few hours in. Well, actually no, this isn't a new concept to the Arkham universe since the BAT system introduced in Arkham City Armored Edition did it first, and like Arkham Origins, made enemies a complete joke when you had enough energy to activate it. After punching enough thugs, the shock meter will build up, and when it's filled and ready to go, you can activate them, which causes Batman to get such a ridiculous increase in strength that it makes just about every single mook in this game go down very, very quickly. It doesn't matter if they're big thugs or thugs carrying riot shields, they all go down with one big bat punch. Something I don't exactly mind in the grand scheme of things because Arkham Origins decides to bring in new types of enemies, like martial artists who can outright dodge your attacks, breaking your combat chain, and they also require an unhealthy amount of countering to effectively take down. Fucking them up with the shock gloves is almost euphoric for me. The gloves also make Batman's hands huge. I'm talking Xbox Duke controller huge. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but wait a second. There we go.
You can no longer take this game seriously.
Utilizing Batman's combat and stealth techniques feels just as accomplishing as in Arkham City, and racking up big combos for free flow always puts a grin on my face when I take out that last thug in slow motion. Nevertheless, I couldn't help but feel that enemies were more aggressive this time around. You can counter attacks like you always could, but the window of time needed to respond seemed smaller, as there were plenty of occasions where thugs got the upper hand and kicked me out of my current combo, even when I swore I pressed the counter button on time. The world of Arkham Origins, like I mentioned earlier, is pretty much a slightly larger Arkham City, and the things you can do are pretty much the same. The place is swarming with criminals and douchebags, even more so than the likes of Arkham City, which confused me at first, but then you gotta remember that this is before Batman's reputation was built, so Gotham being a hellhole before Batman made his debut makes sense in that regard. Anyway, you can deactivate time bombs to stop the likes of Anarchy, who is pretty much this game's Zaz, only not as tedious. You can stop crimes in progress for experience and achievements, or solve case files, which requires extensive use of detective mode. Seeing Batman reconstruct the scene of the crime is pretty cool, but having the feature to rewind or fast forward the reenactment of the crime is probably the best part for me. There's something very hypnotic about watching a man repeatedly getting smashed by a thrown safe over and over again. Side quests also include taking out some of the assassins that are after Batman or facing an entirely different villain altogether that has other plans, like Enigma, who's just the Riddler before actually taking up that persona, and just like the Riddler from Arkham City, there's a shitload of collectibles to attain before you're able to bring him down, which include network relays to break, certain mooks to interrogate for data pack locations, and a humongous amount of searching. Deactivating Enigma's comm tower interference, on the other hand, does allow you to gain an access point for your Batwing, so you can immediately travel to that area in case you don't feel like gliding all over the place, so we have that. Considering the sheer size of Gotham City in this game, I'm grateful for this, though watching the same repeated loading screen of Batman flying to the designated location makes me wish we at least had some music to accompany it. Gotham City, despite the criminals, feels very empty. Apparently because of inclement weather or curfew or something like that, every citizen in Gotham City has been issued to stay home, leaving the streets completely barren with a sporadic group of mooks, crooked cops, and the occasional ninja. I'm not asking for much, I just would have liked to have other people to talk or interact with, especially with a world this big. You can fly back to the Batcave at any point and talk with Alfred, and their conversations can be pretty fun at times.
I feel terrible, Sam. I prepared such a lovely ham for you tonight. And now you'll never have a chance to eat it.
We can have it tomorrow.
It's just not the same.
Christmas ham on Christmas morning isn't exactly the end of the world.
I don't know, sir. I'd say it's pretty close.
I know Batman's supposed to be the loner, especially at this point of his career, but with me being the player, I would have liked some goofier fun interactions with something.
Jingle bells! That smells!
No.
Yeah, like that. Why can't we have more of that? But you know, besides the main campaign, you can also complete challenges in challenge mode where your combat and stealth techniques are put to the test. It's also here where you can play as Deathstroke if you pre-ordered the game or bought the DLC to begin with. Speaking of DLC, Batman can get a lot of costumes this time around, but unless it's challenge mode, you can't use them in the main campaign unless you already completed the story, or if you're playing on New Game Plus, where the difficulty of the game is ramped up with stronger mooks, tougher variations, and smarter AI. The new costumes, though, are great to look at and see in action, though the first appearance Batman, complete with the purple gloves, is a bit of an eyesore. But if you have the PlayStation 3 version, you also have access to the 1960s Adam West Batman costume. I am not joking when I say this. This alone warrants a purchase on the PlayStation 3. It's Adam West's Batman, and he's kicking so much ass. If only we had this costume in Arkham City. Batman Arkham Origins also has an online multiplayer feature where you can either play as the Dark Knight alongside his faithful sidekick Robin, or one of the Joker's or Bane's goons, playing very much like your typical third-person shoot-'em-up. The Wii U version doesn't contain this feature, but the game costs less to compensate. If you like this stuff in addition to the Batman mythos, you might get some enjoyment from it. Not me, though. It took forever to get an actual match going on the PlayStation 3 version, and I haven't had an Xbox Live Gold subscription in over a year, and I'm not about to renew for something I'm not really interested to begin with. Arkham Origins is a game that's just as content-packed as its predecessor, but the problem here is that the content is just more of the same things we experienced already, almost down to the same line of code. If you've never experienced an Arkham game at this point, then, well, play Arkham City, since I still think that's the better game, Adam West costume aside. It also has a better soundtrack too. Arkham Origins music never stayed inside my head at any point and felt very underwhelming. Maybe they're playing up the whole origin aspect, but it's all noise to me. I'd recommend waiting for a price drop on this one, or at the very least a re-release that has all the added DLC content packed in.
However, because I knew this review wasn't going to be a very long one to begin with, I also decided to take a look at Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate for the Nintendo 3DS. You can also get it for the PlayStation Vita, but I don't have one of those, and I still don't have enough reason to invest in one. Sony, would you please get it together?
Okay then, Arkham Origins Blackgate in terms of story is a continuation of the main story in Arkham Origins on the consoles. While out on patrol one night, Batman comes across the seductive Catwoman for the first time, which leads to a chase that eventually ends with Catwoman being captured by the police. Regrettably for Batman, the likes of Black Mask, the Penguin, and the Joker have decided to take over Blackgate and convert it into an absolute war zone. As Batman, you need to tackle different sections of Blackgate and put a stop to whatever the likes of these three assholes have up their sleeves. Throughout the adventure, you'll have occasional interactions with Catwoman, who will provide you with tips and insight on certain areas and where you should be going next on your journey. She's pretty much this game's navigator. The game's a 2D beat-em-up. The combat is somewhat similar to how it handles in the console games, but your mobility isn't as graceful and the timing of chaining free-flow combos feels off, including countering enemy attacks. There's also some stealth sequences peppered throughout each section of the prison, and Batman can obtain gadgets to explore deeper into the penitentiary, very much like a Metroidvania game. I'm a little disappointed that it's not a 3D game like its counterparts, and I think the camera can be too far away from the action at times. It's almost like the programmers were really proud of their 3D building models and wanted us to appreciate every moment we spent inside at the expense of not seeing Batman. Cutscenes are represented by these comic book style graphics, which I'm fine with, being a handheld game and all, but sometimes the art isn't exactly attractive. The game, on the other hand, is boring in almost every way, sadly. The sound and graphics are okay for handheld standards, but a lot of the textures on character models can look awfully muddled when viewed up close. Am I fighting prisoners or zombies? I already mentioned the combat not being as smooth as the console games, but exploring the three main areas of Blackgate is nearly painful because of the sheer repetitiveness of the given tasks, the constant back and forth between new areas and places you explored previously, and the dreariness of the prison entirely. Blackgate Penitentiary puts me to sleep with its murky colors and overall sameness. Nothing has any sort of distinctive identity in this place, and I get that it's a prison, but this is also a video game. Liven it up a bit, would you? Traveling and discovering new areas is also a bit ass backwards. Batman has access to detective mode just like the other games, but in order to discover breakable walls or hidden areas needed to progress, you need to stop what you're doing to hold down the scan button on the touchscreen and analyze the room to search for anything that can be destroyed, despite the fact that you're already in detective mode. A breakable wall cannot be broken unless you scan it first, even if you know it's already there, and this sort of system will have you constantly stop all over the damn prison to scan for that one area you can destroy to proceed. As if the backtracking wasn't enough, this game has no flow as well. Some of the boss fights are pretty cool, but that doesn't negate the other 95% of the game. It's a shame too, because I don't find the game bad, it's just dull. And for me, that can be worse in some cases. The game's only half of the price of the console games, but even then I'd still wait for a price drop.
Or you can spend that Christmas money you got from your grandparents or spouse or any other relative. Don't do that though. Go buy another game like The Last of Us or Link Between Worlds or BioShock Infinite.
Or you can splurge on the Steam Holiday Sale.
Exactly. Or you can...
But Johnny, you have BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, but this is 50%.
You don't need this, man.
Oh...